All right, buckle up for this one, because Tether, the stablecoin giant,
Yeah.
they're packing up their headquarters. And get this, they're not heading to, like, Silicon Valley or London.
Hmm.
They're going to El Salvador.
Wow.
El Salvador. Can you believe it?
That's bad.
We're going to dive deep into why this is such a big deal today. And lucky for us, we've got some really interesting stuff straight from Tether themselves, talking about their plans and why they decided to make this, well, pretty unexpected move.
It's definitely a bold move, especially when you think about what El Salvador's been doing with Bitcoin lately. Remember back in 2021, they were the first country to actually make Bitcoin legal tender.
Oh, yeah.
Their big goals were attracting investment and bringing banking to those who have never had access before.
So they're really going all in on this whole crypto thing. But why would Tether, a company dealing with billions of dollars, choose a country that's, let's be honest, better known for its beaches than its blockchain?
Well, if you look at what they've been saying officially, there are a few key things that seem to be driving this.
Yeah.
First off, they're really into how much the El Salvadoran government supports Bitcoin. It's like they both see eye to eye on the future of finance.
I see, yeah.
And second, they keep talking about tapping into El Salvador's growing Bitcoin community. They want to be right in the thick of it, where all the energy is, where the exciting new stuff is happening on the ground.
So it's kind of like how all those tech startups flocked to Silicon Valley back in the day. They're going where the talent and the ideas are.
Exactly. But here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Tether is also highlighting El Salvador's commitment to green energy. Think about it. They're investing heavily in geothermal power, using those volcanoes
Wow.
to make electricity. Tether sees this as their way to be sustainable, which is a huge deal in the crypto world, which uses a lot of energy.
So it's not just about chasing profits for them. They're thinking about their impact on the environment, too. That's a pretty big statement, especially since crypto often gets criticized for how much energy it uses.
Absolutely. It's like they're signaling a possible shift in the whole industry, showing that you can be profitable and environmentally responsible at the same time. It also makes you wonder, could El Salvador, with all its renewable energy, become a model for other crypto companies that want to go green?
Now, that's a really interesting question. But what's Tether actually going to do in El Salvador, besides just setting up shop?
Well, they're not just moving their headquarters. They're actually putting their money where their mouth is. They're putting resources into El Salvador's geothermal projects. This shows they're in it for the long haul, not just a quick win.
Right. It's more than just taking advantage of good regulations. It's like they're saying, we believe in this country and we're going to help build its future, both economically and environmentally.
Exactly. And this leads to a much bigger question. What could all of this mean in the long run? What could this mean for El Salvador's economy, for the global crypto market, even for how we think about finance in general? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore in the next part of our deep dive.
So we've got this fascinating situation, right? A major stablecoin player setting up shop in a country that's basically declared itself a Bitcoin nation. But what does that actually mean for El Salvador? Will this big experiment really give them the economic boost they're hoping for?
That's the big question, isn't it? The stuff we've been looking at definitely highlights some potential upsides. For one thing, there's the whole job creation angle.
Okay.
If Tether grows its operations in El Salvador, they're going to need a higher local talent.
Makes sense.
And if other crypto companies see Tether doing well there and decide to join the party, well, that could create a ripple effect throughout the whole job market.
It's like that old saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. More jobs means more money flowing through the local economy, which helps other businesses and creates like a sense of optimism.
Exactly. And then there's the impact on investment. Tether's already putting resources into El Salvador's geothermal energy projects, right?
Right.
That kind of investment could bring in even more interest from other companies looking to get involved in renewable energy.
Plus, it sends a message to the world. El Salvador is open for business, especially if you're in the crypto space. It's not just about what Tether's investing directly. It's about the overall feeling of confidence they're creating.
You got it. But of course, we have to look at both sides of the coin here. There are some real concerns about the risks that come with all of this.
You're talking about the human rights concerns that have been raised.
That's one side of it, yeah. People who are critical of El Salvador's government say this Bitcoin push is just a way to distract from their human rights record, to try and make themselves look better to the rest of the world.
And some people are worried about how volatile cryptocurrency can be. I mean, we've all seen Bitcoin's price go up and down like crazy. What happens if El Salvador's economy gets too dependent on Bitcoin? and then the market crashes.
It's a serious risk, no doubt about it. It's a gamble. And the stakes are high, not just for El Salvador, potentially for the whole global financial system.
Whoa, okay, hold on. Let's break that down a bit. How could this one little country's Bitcoin experiment have implications for the whole world?
Imagine if this actually works. El Salvador's economy thrives. They attract tons of investment. They become this crypto hub. Other countries might start paying attention. They might try to compete to be the next crypto haven, offering even better regulations and incentives to get those companies to come to them.
So it's like a crypto arms race. With countries fighting to be the most crypto-friendly, that would really shake things up in the world of traditional finance.
You said it. It brings up all sorts of questions.
Like what?
How would central banks react? What would happen to the power dynamics between countries? Could we see brand new financial systems emerge, ones that operate outside the control of traditional institutions?
It's mind-blowing to even think about. It's like we could be watching the birth of a whole new era in global finance, and it's all starting with one company's decision to move to this tiny country in Central America.
It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? And it makes you realize Tether is playing a much bigger game here than just relocating their offices. They could be at the forefront of a global financial revolution.
So they're not just riding the wave, they're trying to shape the wave itself. But what does all this mean for Tether as a company? What are they hoping to achieve beyond just being in the right place at the right time?
From what we've seen, they seem to see El Salvador as a testing ground for innovation.
Okay.
They want to experiment, develop new products and services, push the boundaries of what's possible in the crypto world.
Kind of like how Silicon Valley was a hub for tech innovation, but instead of Silicon Valley, it's this country with volcanoes and a government that's all about Bitcoin.
Exactly. It's a unique environment, perfect for trying new things. And Tether's leadership seems personally invested in making it work. Remember how we talked about how the CEO and COO not only bought property in El Salvador, they also got El Salvadoran citizenship.
Yeah, it's not just business for them. It's a commitment to the country and its people. It's almost like they're saying, we believe in what El Salvador can become, and we're going to be a part of its success.
That's a great way to put it. It adds a whole other layer to this whole story. But before we get too excited about all the potential good stuff, there's one aspect of this move that I think a lot of people might find pretty surprising. And it's something Tether has been very open about in their statements about this relocation.
So we've talked about Tether moving to El Salvador, looking at the economics, the global picture, the risks. But there's this one thing that really jumped out at me from all these sources, something that kind of gets lost in all the Bitcoin and blockchain talk.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the human side of things. Tether isn't just focused on profits and dominating the market. They're really emphasizing how this could empower people, especially people who haven't had access to traditional banking.
Right. El Salvador has a lot of people who aren't part of the banking system. For a lot of folks, traditional banking is just out of reach, too expensive, too complicated, or maybe there just aren't any banks where they live.
So they're stuck, right, in a system that doesn't work for them, can't really participate in the modern economy.
Exactly. And that's where Tether sees an opportunity. They think stablecoins, pegged to something stable like the US dollar, could be a much better alternative to banks, more accessible, more affordable.
So it's like going around the gatekeepers, giving people direct access to financial tools, to manage their money, send money to family, even build up their savings. It's financial inclusion powered by technology.
Exactly. And Tether isn't just talking about it. They're actually doing something.
Oh, yeah?
They're involved in community projects,
Yeah.
supporting programs that teach about tech and financial literacy.
So they're not just throwing money at the problem. They're getting their hands dirty, working to make a real difference. That's a pretty far cry from some faceless corporation just trying to make a buck.
It is, and it challenges that whole idea that cryptocurrency is just for tech people or the rich.
Yeah.
Tether wants to be seen as a force for good, using its tech to actually help people.
And I bet that message really resonates in a place like El Salvador, where people might not trust traditional institutions. Cryptocurrency, because it's decentralized and transparent, might feel like a much better option.
That's a good point. It's not just about the technology. It's about whether people trust the systems that control their lives. Cryptocurrency could be a way to shift the power, to break free from those old institutions.
It's a powerful idea. But let's be real. Can one company, even a giant like Tether, really change things that much?
That's a good question. But the important thing is the message they're sending, the example they're setting. If Tether can prove that cryptocurrency can empower people and create positive change, other companies might get inspired to do the same.
And that could have a huge impact, even beyond El Salvador. Imagine if more companies started using their resources in tech to tackle problems like poverty, inequality, lack of access to basic services.
It's a hopeful thought, isn't it? A world where tech isn't just about making a few people rich, but about creating opportunities for everyone.
It reminds us that technology is just a tool. It's up to us to decide how to use it, for good or bad. And with Tether going to El Salvador, we're getting a glimpse of what that good could be.
It's a fascinating case study, no doubt. It makes you think about the future of finance, the role of technology in our lives, and how innovation can drive real positive change.
We started by talking about a company moving and ended up discussing how cryptocurrency could revolutionize everything. Not just finance, but how we solve problems in the world.
It shows that sometimes the most unexpected moves can have the biggest impact.
And that's the beauty of a deep dive. You never know what you might find. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another fascinating deep dive.